Hello, welcome and namaste everybody. I'd like to welcome all of you in this family reunion of Holistic Human Health SIP Module 2 Common Follow-up session every Friday 7:30 onward. I like to welcome our sole person and co-speaker for the session, Samla Reddy with us. Ji, Samla Reddy, namaste.
नमस्ते भैया सभी को नमस्ते
Namaste, Didi.
good evening.
What topic we are going to discuss today, Didi?
Yes, I had come in once earlier and we had started to discuss intake.
Certainly, we are going to extend that. Ji.
So I was thinking we can just continue or briefly recap intake and continue with that.
Ji,
and
welcome, Didi. Over to you. Yes.
Yeah.
Over to you, Didi.
Permitting, thank you. Time permitting, we'll also try to do a little bit of the routine. Important is that this, if we can see this program for health, for staying healthy on our screens, then we will see that there are lots of options before we take medicine. So if we watch what we are taking inside the body, and if we are aware of what kind of a daily routine supports health in the body, then first and foremost, we will monitor that, we will check that, we will bring it in alignment with what is necessary to keep the body fit and healthy. And we will also try to do some physical work. So it can be in the form of working with nature, which is doing labor. The good thing about labor being that you can not only get benefited by exercising the body in a way that there is movement of the body, but also you are able to get some physical facility from this working with nature. So you get both. You have physical facility also, and at the same time, you are taking care of the health of the body also. And of course, you may or may not need to couple it with some exercise, which can be in the form of jogging, running, cycling, swimming, playing a sport, whatever. There are many options. In addition to that, there is also the possibility of using postures to regulate the various organs within the body, and also to regulate our breathing. So in the form of yoga and pranayama and other options. All of this can be useful for keeping the body in good health. Then occasionally, if we are not able to manage with all of these things, if we give it, if we slip here and there, and we're not able to manage this, occasionally we may need medicine also. But today what we are doing is we tend to jump to taking the medicine and without really doing much else. So then you are kind of dependent on the medicine and you're not really not necessarily correcting the disharmony in the body. I'll give an example. Like for instance, you have a headache. Now, this headache may be from many reasons, but if I'm not aware of why I'm getting a headache, I may just take a pill and think that, okay, now I feel better, so this has worked. So what the pill does is, that pill is going to prevent you from noticing the headache, because that pain sensation that you were getting earlier, that is gone. So you feel, okay, this has worked. So once it works, you keep doing it every time. But why are we getting the headache? What is the reason for the headache? It could be something simple. I didn't drink enough water. It could be that the digestion is not working properly. It could be so many reasons. So if I don't know and I just take a pill, I don't feel the pain, but that is not necessarily good for the body, because the disharmony that was causing the pain is still there. And pain was alerting me to the disharmony. Now that the pain is gone, I am becoming even more unconscious of the disharmony in the body. So like that, there can be many ways in which we are disrupting the health of the body. So anyway, we were going to talk about intake. Last time that I was there, we started to speak on intake, and I think there was a lot of interest, and many people wanted to continue with that. So we'll quickly recap a few things that we said and move on. So when it comes to intake, intake is not just about the food that we take into the body. We're taking in many things, right? So we are taking in food, we are taking in water, we are breathing in air, our skin is getting exposed to sunlight. So if you see all the 5 sense organs in the body, we are constantly taking in stuff from outside, isn't it? So all of this is important, not just the food. When we think of intake, we generally focus only on the food. But all of this is important, and one should be aware how much, become conscious that in our day-to-day routine, are we really having proper intake of all of these? So we'll focus on the food right now. If you all have questions, you can raise your hand. Otherwise, I'll keep moving in the interest of time. So how do you make food choices? How do you decide what to eat? So there are some things that you can look at. First of all, is the food that I am eating nutritious? Nutritious in the sense, is it going to nurture the body or is it going to harm the body? Because if it is going to harm the body, then why am I eating it? What is the purpose? Isn't it? So I want to eat food that is nutritious, that nurtures the body. It should be digestible. See, after all, I can put the food in the mouth, but the body has a definite recognition and fulfillment. The body can only digest what it can digest, right? I may choose to eat more than the body can digest, but then that excess that I ate, it's obviously going to do the body harm because the body is not going to be able to digest it. So it should be digestible. This digestible capacity of the body will change as the body ages. It will also change according to the activity that a person is doing. So if a person is sitting on the couch all day or sitting at an office desk all day and not really moving the body that much, then it's going to, whatever food you eat is just going to sit there. It's not going to get used, or it's not going to be used for doing work or movement in the body. So it will just accumulate. And this is going to be one of the reasons for ill health in the body. So simple things, even if we have a desk job, somebody might say, I have a desk job, what to do? So when I climb up and down, say my office is on the 5th floor, am I taking the elevator or am I walking up and down the steps? Simple things. When I have some errands to run near my house, do I pick up the car or scooter or cycle or something, or do I just walk down, or if you're young, maybe jog down to the market and get what you want and come back? Small things, right? And then, am I spending some time with seeing what exactly it is that I'm eating? If I am not physically active and I'm eating the same way like a young person who is very physically active, then obviously there is going to be a mismatch. So all of these choices we can make consciously. Then the food that I'm eating, is the waste excretable or not? This is a very important point and one that we may not be focusing on much. We certainly go for the taste, this last point here. So we look for taste, of course, but a lot of times what is happening is our focus is so much on the taste that we ignore the other points. So fiber-rich foods are going to help the things go down the system, go down the intestines. We have 24 to 26 feet long intestines. If you just make a mental note of what your height is, you will realize how long these intestines are, 24 to 26 feet long. And it may seem incredible that all such long intestines are fit so compactly in our abdomen, but it's true. So whatever food you eat has to go down all these 24 to 26 feet. And of course, whatever the body needs, the body will take. But ultimately, that waste that is there, whatever was not required by the body from that food that we ate, that must come out of the body. Otherwise, it's going to keep circulating in the body, creating a problem for the body, because these are toxins which are causing harm to the body. So this must come out. And the sooner the waste comes out, the better it is. So how to ensure this? What to do for that? Make sure that the food that you're eating has a lot of fiber. And we'll come to that in a minute. So in the food that we eat, we talk of grains, pulses, fruit, vegetables, milk products, nuts, oils, sweeteners. And we'll also briefly talk about non-vegetarian foods, whether to have them or not to have them. Whatever choices we may make, we must know why we are making those choices and then make them. So these are some of the things that we tend to include in a balanced diet, but what it means is how much of what to take and in what form, right? So if you have grains, look at grains. Again, the same questions we can ask. Of course, we have also added one here. Is it compatible? Whatever grains we are taking, are they nutritious for the body? Are they digestible? Is the waste excretable? Are they compatible? And of course, tasty, I don't need to say, because that is generally high on our priority. So when it comes to grains, there is all this talk about whole grains, whole grains, whole grains. So what is this whole grains? Whole grains is thus that, the grain in the whole form. So for instance, if you have rice, when the rice is grown, you know what they do? They sort of beat it with the hand, and so that the husk and all, a little bit of it, the top surface that comes off, and whatever is left, that is to be consumed. Now this, in this natural form, is very useful for the body, that the outer covering of the grain, that has lot of course, bran, which is this fiber. It also has many oils, many vitamins, which are very useful for the body. But when we, if this rice, which we refer to as brown rice, now when we polish it, when we put it through machines and various processes to polish it, and if you see some of these ads, you'll realize how many times they process each grain, they match for each grain to be the same white color. Can you believe? So all of that we are eating as white rice whenever we eat rice. So the fiber is gone. Now, the top layer is gone. This is no longer whole grain. This has been processed and it has become white rice. The same brown rice has now become white rice. Similarly, if you look at wheat, so wheat in the coarse form, dalia, cracked wheat, whatever you want to call it, that wheat is still got a lot of fiber, lot of nutrition. So you can have it in that form. You process it more, you get atta, the wheat flour. Now you have broken it down and you have sort of made it more fine. Still okay as long as you are keeping that bran part, the outer part. But if we strain it, suppose you strain it, now the fiber part gets removed and the very fine flour is left. So if you are buying flour from the market in ready packaged bags, you want to be sure to see, does it have fiber, or are we just eating something that is being sold to us in whatever form? So the packet may say whole grain. Certainly it came from the whole grain, but now what you're eating, is it in that form of the whole grain or is it something else? So, you can have it as atta also. Supposing you process it more, then you get what we call suji, wheat rava, that fine wheat rava, what you get. You process it some more, now you have maida. It has come from the same whole grain, but now there is nothing left that can be nutritious for the body. Now you're eating only for taste. So all these choices are there. Similarly, the food that we eat, it should be digestible. So millets are, very healthy. They are whole grains. They are tiny grains, very good for health. All that is there. But supposing I, as an individual, am an older person and my activity is not much, and I'm not very active. So will I be able to digest these millets? That is a big question mark. So if I'm not able to digest, or the body is not able to digest this, then no matter how good those millets may be, how nutritious they may be for the body, it's not available to my body when I eat, because I'm not able to digest them. What the goodness from it is not able to reach the various tissues in the body. So all this one can be a little more alert about. is the waste excretable? Of course, if we are eating in the whole grain form with not very much of processing, then the waste will be excretable because there is a lot of fiber in it. But if we are processing it a lot, like, people have bread. Now, bread is highly processed. And even though, they say wheat bread and so many things, if you look at the fine print, you must always look at the fine print on the packaging. How much of it is really whole grain and what other additives are they adding? Do we ever look at that? So packaged items, when we buy, if you just look at the ingredients part or what it contains, you may be surprised to note that there are so many extra ingredients which you wouldn't think of adding at home, all kinds of chemicals and certain additives and things that are sort of, it will be something subtle like permitted colors and artificial flavors and things like that. But what are those? Those are all chemicals, no? So all of this one needs to be a little more aware of. Is the food that we are eating, the grain that we are eating, compatible? Is it in accordance with the season? For example, ragi or finger millet is a grain that is healthy for the body. It is also cooling for the body. So it is an ideal thing for the summer. It's also very dry. So one can generally have it mixed with, in the south, it is taken mixed with either milk or, like a porridge, or with buttermilk, or something that is like a drink which is cooling. Then it makes perfect sense. It is useful for the body. But supposing I am in the north and it is winter, it's very cold. Now, if I'm eating ragi, then it is not going to do the body that much good because it's already cold and I need to warm the body. So better option would be a warming grain. So wheat is warming for the body. Bajra is warming for the body. Bajra is your pearl millet. So these are very simple things that we can see. Earlier, what used to happen was grains were taken according to the season. So year round, there would be so many different types of grains. Even if you look at the rice, there used to be so many varieties of rice that were used. So there was a very rich variety of grains. But with single cropping and so many of these changed practices, we are finding that mostly we have become tuned to just having wheat all year round. So those choices we can make consciously what we are eating. Quantity wise also, to make sure that we eat according to how much we can digest, how physically active we are, how much we can digest, rather than just on the basis of some, somebody else's guideline. If you look at the pulses, pulses are the protein-rich foods, the dals that we have. If I ask you, maybe you can reply to this in the chat. How many of us feel that for protein in the body, egg and meat is better than dal, or is more nutritious than dal when it comes to protein? So you can answer in the chat. Would it be better to have meat and eggs for protein, or would it be better to have dal for protein? You can just mention in the chat. Not able to see the chat very well. Okay. All right, very nice. So we are getting all of these options that dal is better. Do we know why dal is better? Anybody can raise a hand and let us take the response. Would somebody like to just raise their hand to respond to this?
Yes, ma'am. It is very easily digestible than the meat items.
Yes. What kind of dal would you have in that state?
Almost, I think all dolls are important.
In what form? Again, form is important, no?
Yeah, as a full grain, something like.
Yeah, right. This is important. This is very important. In fact, if you see, some of the whole pulses, like, the rajma or the kidney bean, what you call, or lobia, black-eyed peas, or the black gram, that urad dal, whole gram, or your moong dal, the green one, the whole green dal. All of these are very high in protein. In fact, weight for weight, if you see, these have higher protein than meat, mutton. They have higher protein than egg. And some of them, like these rajma and all, they have protein as high as chicken. So if you're eating something with that belief that for protein in the body, one needs to have non-vegetarian food, then that may be not the right assumption we are having, because definitely these whole pulses, they have a lot of high protein. But when you break it down and you have the washed, what we call the washed tuli dal, which is without the skin, then a lot of the nutrition and the fiber is gone from the dal. So then the protein also will be less, the other nutrients will also be less, and the fiber will also be less. So one can just check, what kind of pulses we are using. And of course, as you get, as you increase in age, as the body ages, the requirement for protein becomes less. After all, protein is required for laying down of fresh tissues, new tissues. And as long as the body is growing, many new tissues are being formed, and therefore more protein is required for the growing child, for the teenagers, people who are in their growth spurts, even for women who are expecting because the baby is growing, women who are breastfeeding because again they are nourished, it's for nourishing the baby, and so on. But once you have finished your growth period, you're an adult, now how much protein is really required and how much are we having? Because if you're having excess protein also, it's not that great for the body. It will just cause a lot of workload for the kidneys to manage, this excess stuff. So for an adult, if you really see, less than 1 gram of protein per kg per day is the requirement. In fact, it is a little less than half of a half of a gram. So 0.45 grams per kg per day is the requirement for an adult. As opposed to that, if you consider for a small child, it may be more than 2 grams per kg per day. So to have with awareness that just because there may be advertisements we may see on the TV or in the media that have 1 egg every day and rich in protein and you must have protein and all of that. One needs to know, how much is really what is required and how much we are having in excess, because anything in excess of the requirement becomes harmful for the body. So we'll just go over quickly. If there are questions, you can just raise your hand and we'll take them. Otherwise, we'll keep going. So in your diet, if you include a whole lot of variety of the grains and pulses, then it is likely to be more useful for the body. The body can utilize these, the nutrients from these in a much better manner, more efficiently than if you are just eating the same grain or the same pulse every day. So include a variety in your diet. Coming to fruits and vegetables, how many of us eat salad every day? If you can just put in the chat. You can say yes or no. Nobody's judging anybody. It is just for our own information. Yes. So I'm seeing more no's than yeses. So one important thing is that if we don't have salad or something in the fresh form, like you see here, some fruit or some vegetable, something in the fresh form, then you can think of it as having what is called dead food. You cook it, the nutrition value comes down. We may all have heard, the vitamin C is gone when you heat the food and so on. So there are many, many vitamins that get destroyed in that process. So one can have salads. That means some say like cucumber, tomato, even carrots you can grate and use. Radish you can grate and use. Squeeze a little lemon. It can be very tasty. Salad doesn't have to be boring or something that is difficult to eat. If you're having a salad, it needs to be, see the raw things, it can be little harder to digest for the body to begin with. But if you add certain ingredients to it, it can make it more palatable also, more digestible, get the juices flowing in the body, enzymes and juices flowing so that it can be digested. So for instance, you can have any of these, here they've shown some lettuce, but you can have other options. We have a lot of what we call dhania, right? What do you call dhania in English?
Maybe coriander.
Coriander, sorry. So coriander, you can cut it up, wash it, cut it up and put it on your salad. You can cut up cucumber, tomato, whatever these kind of options that are there, like we talked of carrot and so many things. Beetroot also you can grate and do. And if you add little salt and little maybe lemon juice, and maybe a pinch of ginger juice, you will find that it becomes very palatable. One thing though you have to do is, because the enzymes that are required for digesting these is different from the enzymes that are required for digesting the cooked food. So give a gap of half to 1 hour between the uncooked raw food and the cooked food. And that is why salad is eaten before the meal, because first of all, it is going to travel down faster, isn't it? Because it has a lot of fiber. So this fiber is going to pull it down the intestines. And then you follow it up with the cooked food. There the fiber will be less, because we tend to remove things and then have it. So then, you can follow the cooked food after the salad. In the salad also, a lot of times there is some dryness in the raw food. So you can add a little bit of oil. If you're using oil, oil is a good thing if you're using it in small quantity. And again, the same rule applies. Is it processed or is it less processed? So you'll find that if you use a cold pressed oil that is extracted by a process of cold pressing, without the use of heat, without the use of chemicals, then you're not damaging that oil. But today, if you are, just buying refined oil, that can be very harmful for the body. So if we can use some cold pressed oil, it could be till oil, sesame oil, it could be mustard oil in the winter, it could be coconut oil in the summer, because coconut oil is cooling, mustard oil is heating, and so on. So a little bit of that can be added also. So that will help to make it go down. Oil is lubricating. So again, we can go through that, is it nutritious? Is it digestible? Is the waste excretable? Is it compatible with the body? And is it tasty? So one rule of thumb that you can use for all fruits and vegetables is fresh, regional, seasonal. It should be fresh. If you're eating foods that are stale or that have been sitting around for many, many days, obviously the nutrient value is not the same. So eat fresh if possible. Regional. If we eat fruits and vegetables that are from our region, from where we stay approximately, then you're likely to get most benefit from it. Because wherever you are staying, that environment, whatever grows naturally in that environment, will be most suited for your body. On the other hand, if we buy, very exotic fruit, like we may go and buy kiwi or Australian something, New Zealand apples or whatever it is, we may be spending a whole lot more money, of course, to buy it. And it may not do the body also that much good, because it's from a different country, different, it has grown in different environmental conditions, which may be very different from what is required for your body. Yes, I can see a hand raised. Srinivas Gupta ji, you can speak. I think you have the mic.
Didi, good evening, Didi. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste to all. Regarding what about dry fruits?
Yeah, we'll come to that. We'll come.
Yeah.
We'll come to that.
Okay.
Yeah. So fresh, regional, and seasonal. Seasonal is also important. So, for instance, now the winter is starting, so you'll have all these, seasonal vegetables like cauliflower, carrot, peas, what else? Beetroot, your pumpkin. All of these are available. If in the summer and beans, green beans, and so on. Now, in the summer also, you may find in the market all of these may be available. But you notice the difference in taste. You will notice that difference in taste. Whatever vegetable is seasonal, it will tend to have a richer taste. And of course, that is because it has those ingredients. But if, normally a cauliflower doesn't grow well in the hot environment. If you try to grow it in the summer, it is possible to grow, and people are growing and selling. But you will find that one is the nutrition is very low. The other is you will notice that taste difference also. And of course, you will spend a whole lot more for it because it is harder to grow in those environments. So, what is growing naturally, if we eat it in that season, and that also has a reason. If you see all of these vegetables, these are dry vegetables: cauliflower, carrot, beetroot, pumpkin, all of these that we are seeing, beans. And they are, in a way, little heating for the body. As opposed to that, the summer vegetables, like your gourd vegetables, right? Bottle gourd, lauki, turai, these kind of very water-laden fruits, they're ideal for the summer, fruits and vegetables. They're ideal for the summer because in the summer, the body, it is dry weather, the body requires all this extra hydration. So those vegetables, they grow naturally. So nature has provided this for us, but we need to use it wisely. Just because we have a choice, if we make just random choices without being conscious of them, we may be harming the body. Fruit and diabetes is a very big myth that if you have diabetes, you should not have fruit. In fact, I would put it as a challenge that if you have enough fruit in the natural form, you will not have diabetes. But having said that, today, lot of in India, lot of people are getting diabetes at a very young age. And if we just watch our intake and our routine, we can get rid of this problem. So I won't go into more depth right now because in the interest of taste. See, fruits like watermelon, now this is a very good option for the summer. But it may be available now in the winter and we may be buying it and having it. But it is a juicy fruit which is cooling for the body, and it is already cold climate. The body needs to be warmed up. So this would be a mismatch, an example of a mismatch. If we come to milk and milk products, how many of us are aware of A2 milk? I think I have asked this question before, but it's an important question, so I will ask it again. You can just answer in the chat, yes or no. Are you aware of A2 milk? Yes or no? If there are enough yeses, then I don't need to discuss it. If there are more no's, then I would discuss it. Okay. Some more yeses, no's. Okay, there are few people who are not aware of this. So if you see the indigenous cows, the breeds of cows that are indigenous, that means the pure breeds. In India, you would refer to them as the desi cow, the desi breed of cow. These are pure breeds, indigenous breeds. The milk from these cows has a different quality to the milk that is obtained from cows which are, like mixed breeds. So this milk from pure breeds is referred to as A2 milk, and the other milk from mixed breeds is referred to as A1 milk. Mixed breeds as in or the non-pure breeds like the Jersey cow and so on. So that milk is referred to as A1 milk. This one from the pure breeds is referred to as A2 milk. And it has been studied scientifically also and shown that A2 milk is very beneficial for the body, but the A1 milk has been linked with problems like heart disease, cholesterol, and so on in the body. So again, you're coming back to the natural, the pure breed is good for the body. So one can have that rather than the other kind of milk. Again, you can ask those questions. Nutritious for the body. So if you are having A2 milk, that nutritious part is there. Is it digestible? So a lot of people have what is called lactose intolerance. They find it difficult to digest the milk. So some options are there. One can add certain herbs and spices to help in the digestion in some, minimal quantities, like a pinch of turmeric, a little bit of ginger powder. All these will make it more digestible. That can be done. Is the waste excretable? So you'll find that milk has zero fiber, no fiber in milk. But at the same time, we said that it is nutritious for the body. So in moderation, it is a good thing. Again, high in protein, high in calcium. So it is good to take in moderation and to take, with that awareness that one is that we need to have the milk from the pure breeds of cows. And we need to take it in moderate quantity. And make sure that other foods that you're having are fiber-rich foods to compensate, right? If you look at buttermilk versus curd, again, curd is, something that people set the curd and then they put it in the fridge. Now it becomes very cold and not so suitable for the body. So fresh set curd is better than putting curd in the refrigerator. And curd is actually a little bit hard to digest, but if you just churn it a little bit nicely and maybe add a little water to it and sort of do that, then it becomes more digestible. And buttermilk is also more digestible than curd. Coming to nuts, seeds, and dry fruits. So certainly they are, nutritious for the body. But of course, here your quantity will be reduced as compared to the main meal. This is required in very small quantity. So that is one thing, the quantity. But yes, they are good for the body. Is it digestible? So again, in accordance with the age, if I'm a young person, I'm doing a lot of physical work, I may be able to digest more. If I'm an older person, not so physically active, I may not be able to digest so much. Also, if I'm eating it in the form that it is there, like dry form, not so digestible, not so bioavailable to the body. Bioavailable meaning the nutrients are not available to the body. So what to do? Many of these nuts can be soaked overnight and then had in the morning. So then you can have the benefit of, it becomes more digestible also for the body, and it changes the form of the nuts so that it becomes more useful for the body. But then you can just do like maybe 5, 6, or 8 almonds you can soak at night. Even walnuts are very good. Again, these will be very small quantity. So walnuts also maybe, 2 halves or something like that. That would be sufficient. So you can soak these and have in the morning. The waste is excretable. Yes, they are high in fiber. Even till, sesame seeds, these are very high in calcium, very useful to have in this. When we were talking of salads, you can even put few nuts like this in the salad. So it will become more of a meal. And again, of course, in accordance with the season. So generally in the winter time, you have a lot of till. So in the north, you have things made with till. Even in the south, you have things made with this sesame seed in particular seasons. But of course, now everything is available year round. But try and recall in the right season, if you have, it will do that much good for the body. Ghee and other oils. So ghee, is it good for the body? Not so good for the body. So if you see, a whole generation of people thought it's bad for the body because science said that it is saturated fat and all saturated fat is bad. But now it is common knowledge that ghee is an exception to this rule. Saturated fat means that which is solid at room temperature. So you will find that ghee is also solid at room temperature. So in that sense, it is a saturated fat. But unlike other saturated fats, which can be harmful, like the old time dalda that used to be available, or these margarines. So if you notice now, there may be many times you're traveling in train, you're traveling in the flight, and you have this, what is it called? It's not butter, but they call it something else like butter. So all that may be very bad for health. We should be aware of what we are eating. So always look at the fine print of what you're eating. What does it have? What is the ingredient in that? You may be better off eating natural butter rather than having, some form of margarine or some vegetable hydrogenated oil or something like that in a form that looks like butter. So better to avoid that. Ghee is, of course, a very good option. Again, we are talking of ghee made from A2 milk, preferably in that traditional method, what is called the Bologna method. That means not just directly from the cream of the milk, but you make curd out of the milk. That curd, then you churn, once it is formed, then you remove the butter from that and heat the butter. So this ghee or clarified butter is formed. So that is the right way to do it, through the curd, not directly from cream. So ghee is very rich in omega-3 fatty acids. A lot of times earlier it was said that, all saturated fat causes cholesterol increase, and so it is bad for the heart and all of that. But now it is known that though ghee is rich in fat, it has a very high concentration of monounsaturated omega-3 fatty acids. And these are very beneficial. So they are good for the heart, they are good for the cardiovascular system. It has been shown that it can actually reduce the what was referred to as bad cholesterol. Of course, in moderation. So maybe like 10% of your diet can be in the form of ghee, 5 to 10%. Again, even though it is nutritious, it is good for the body, quantity has to be not that big. So if you're eating a whole meal, maybe 1 teaspoon of ghee you can add in that and have it. Again, make sure it's A2 ghee. It's also very good as a cooking medium because it has a very high smoke point. You will find if you're using some of these refined oils, they very quickly start smoking. So if you put it in a container and you turn on the heat, you will find very quickly it heats up and it's like the smoke is coming out of it. But not so with ghee. Ghee has a very high smoke point. So in spite of high temperatures, it doesn't quickly get denatured. Whenever this is smoking a lot, then you can be sure that the oil is not so healthy for eating now, consuming now, because now smoking means now it has broken up, it has denatured. So the form has changed. So better to cook on low flame and not let it go up to smoking point. Of course, ghee is also very lubricating for the intestinal tract. So it helps things move down and out of the system when you have waste and all of that. Again, like I said, oils can be used cold pressed. So ultimately, natural versus processed foods. So if we are not having fresh salads, vegetables in the unprocessed form, then the body is really missing something. So when we process the food, make it into something, much of the nutrition gets destroyed. And of course, now it is also said that if you have any place around your house, plant some, vegetables, grow something, because whatever you are growing, you have the option of growing without chemicals, without fertilizers, without all kinds of other aids. But what you're getting in the market, you may never be sure. So if possible, of course, all of the things that we eat cannot be, but some options you can try. It will also give you an idea of, it will help to do the labor part that we were talking about, to keep the body moving. But also you will be able to see this side of it, that we can also appreciate the farmers who are growing, because it takes a lot of hard work, even small amounts of things that we grow. But it will have the benefit of eating healthy. So this was about unprocessed or less processed foods. I think we already did this. A couple of things. Sprouting. So again, like how we were saying, you can soak the nuts. Similarly, if you sprout the dals or the grains, then the form changes and it is actually more enlivening for the body. And you will notice this when you eat. So after you eat, do you feel lethargic and dull, or do you feel alert? This is important to check, because are we eating to become alert, or are we eating to become lethargic? So that question, if we ask, certainly we want to be more active when we eat. We should be energized by the food, not become lethargic with the food. So if we are becoming lethargic with the food we are eating, then somewhere we are making a wrong choice. So that can be one way of looking at it. That is, after you eat, soon after you eat, within a couple of hours, are you feeling sleepy and yawning, or are you feeling more energized, like you have gained energy? Because after all, we are eating so that the body may get more energy. But if we are becoming dull and lethargic, then we need to change something there. For the vegetables, wash them, then chop them, rather than the other way around. Because if you chop them and then wash them, you are draining out much of the nutrition also. Cook on low flame, avoid overcooking. And things like radish, cauliflower and all, we tend to have the actual vegetable, but we throw away the leaves. Use those leaves. Those are actually one of the most nutritious things. Today, you can see so much of talk about moringa leaves, the drumstick plant. So a lot of people used to eat drumstick, but many people were not eating the leaves. But the leaves are very nutritious. You can use those. Sweeteners. So refined sugar, again, you can see, from the same sugar cane comes the jaggery, but also from the same sugar cane, when we refine it more and more, comes the refined sugar. So between the two, obviously, jaggery is much more useful for the body, much more nutritious, as opposed to this refined sugar, which is white sugar. In fact, if many people who are from the naturopathy field, they refer to all of these as the white poisons, sugar, salt, and so on. In place of the regular salt, the table salt, you can use what is called senda namak or rock salt, or it may be available as Himalayan pink salt. So these are less processed, more in the natural form. They'll be better for the health of the body. Other sweeteners, honey is a good option. Dates is a good option. Honey, one thing to note is don't mix it in hot water, because it changes the constitution of the honey and it becomes then harmful for the body. So use it with lukewarm water is okay, or normal temperature. Then it is more useful. So this question that we were asking, why are we eating food? Is the food providing energy or lethargy? So let's just take a quick look at the vegetarian and non-vegetarian foods. We are just about out of time, I think, also. Yes, we are out of time. So I won't get into a lot of detail, but I may have mentioned this last time also. There is a person by the name of Milton T. Mills, Dr. Milton T. Mills, who has written a very good article on this, whether the human body is designed for plant-based food or animal-based food. And it is called Comparative Anatomy of Eating. So you can look at that. And I think I'll stop here, because again, I thought we can go further, but we will not be able to do that. What I'll do is we'll just look at this. Every meal that you're eating, for each meal, make a list of all the foods you ate and label each one. You can label it as nutritious N, digestible D, excretable E, and tasty T. And now you apply it to all, you can put a chart on your refrigerator or something, and you can keep ticking off and put this N, D, E, whatever. So you will notice then what you are eating. At the end of the day, you can see what you have eaten, what percentage of food you have eaten to nurture the body. That is based on your natural acceptance. What percentage you ate based on your own beliefs or preconditionings. Like I may have this belief that something that looks good, is nicely packaged, is very nutritious. So like that. And what percentage you ate for sensation. Sometimes we eat junk food also when we find it very tasty, without paying attention to the health aspect of it. So not that we have to become very rigid about this and say that I cannot do this or I cannot eat even this, but just to become conscious of what we are doing, so that we can take better care of the health of the body. So this much I had to share. You can probably take a screenshot of this exercise and do this as assignment for yourself, so that you can take better care of the health of the body. And I think I will stop here unless there is some immediate question. Parikshit Bhaiya, we have run out of time.
There is time also, and we like to listen more and more of this content and discuss with you. So let's extend this session further also, and respecting about the circadian rhythm, let's call it a day, and we'll certainly meet sometime again to discuss about all these things again.
Yeah, so
Thank you so much for this interactive and informative session.
yeah, we'll close this session. I know Ganesh Chattopadhyay ji has raised his hand, but we'll have to take it another time because we have crossed our time limit. And next week will not be possible for me, but we'll try to figure out. And whenever I am able to, I will
Certainly,
come
certainly.
try to do this. Thank you all for your patient listening.
Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste, everybody. Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste.